chapter, that is the synopsis. So, as you know, there are many important questions asked from this unit. However, you can expect more weightage questions from this part also, equilibrium. So minimum 3 questions can be asked, or maximum even 4 questions also can be asked from this part. So let's go on discussing the important points in equilibrium. So when I say equilibrium, you know that something is equal. Yeah. So equilibrium is that stage. So whenever a reactant starts forming products, you must always understand equilibrium is attained by the system in which the reversible reaction is carried out. So equilibrium ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಒಂದು ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ರಿವರ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಯು ಸಿ ದಿಸ್ equilibrium concept or equilibrium that has been attained. Now what is equilibrium? To just give you a brief idea of what it is, ಸೊ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿ ಅದು ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಮ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Why will it try attaining equilibrium? So why will it try attaining equilibrium? Because it wants to be stable. So equilibrium kalivaga, it's like at a particular temperature if you consider. So reactants giving products. Then initially what happens as the reaction starts proceeding, reactant concentration starts decreasing whereas product concentration starts increasing, isn't it? It's it's very common in any reaction. ಸೊ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟಿನ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟಿನ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಟಿಲ್ ವೆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್, it keeps continuing. So after some time you will see that so ಇದು ಒಂದೇ ಸೈಡಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, it takes place on both the sides. That is why it's called as reversible reaction, correct? Till when this reaction proceeds. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಅದರದ್ದೇ ಆದ ಒಂದು ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ವಾ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ವೇರ್ ಎನಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಐ ಮೀನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಟೈನ್ಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ. ಸೊ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಪುನಃ ವಾಪಸ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ರೀಚಸ್ ವೇರ್ the rate of forward reaction becomes equal to rate of backward reaction. Now, what do you mean by forward reaction, backward reaction? Forward reaction means reactant forming product. Reactant forming product is a forward reaction, whereas product forming reactant is a backward reaction. Rate means, you know, it is speed of the reaction. ಎಷ್ಟು ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಆ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ವರ್ಡ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್, ಆಗ ನಾವು ಆ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನ ಯಾವ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೆರಡರ ರೇಟ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೋ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪಿ ಯು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೋರ್ ಫೆಮಿಲಿಯರ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್, ಡೋಂಟ್ ವರಿ, ನೀವು ಈ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಓದುವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್. Now this stage, this equilibrium is also called as dynamic equilibrium. Dynamic means something which is very active. ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಡೈನಾಮಿಕ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಡೈನಾಮಿಕ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. Why is it called as dynamic equilibrium? ಸೊ ನೀವು ಆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೋಡುವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ. But still the reaction will be proceeding. That is rate of forward reaction, rate of backward reaction, ಅದು ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ reaction. One simple example is dissolution. ಇದು physical equilibrium ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. You have two parts to study. One part is where you will learn the physical aspects of equilibrium, and the second part is where you learn something about chemical equilibrium or ionic equilibrium. Again, you learn in that. One the example, if I have to give a simple one, dissolving sugar in water. If you take a beaker and you have taken water in it, water ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಶುಗರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್? ಇಟ್ ಡಿಸಾಲ್ವ್ಸ್. ಪುನಃ ಶುಗರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಅದು ಡಿಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ರೀಚಸ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಆ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಶುಗರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಶುಗರ್ ಹಾಕಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಟಲ್ಸ್ ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಉಳಿದೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಟೂ processes taking place. From one side sugar is dissolving, from the other side it is coming out of the solution, crystal ಆಗಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, dissolution and crystallization. So when we look at that particular solution, we feel that the dissolution process is not active. Correct ಅಲ್ಲ? ನೀವೀಗ ಯಾವತ್ತಾದ್ರೂ ಶುಗರ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೋಡುವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿತ್ತ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರೋದು? No, you don't see. But actually the reaction will be dynamic. Okay, that means it will be still active. That's why any equilibrium is said to be dynamic equilibrium. And as mentioned earlier, at equilibrium, rates of forward reaction and rate of backward reaction becomes equal. Okay, now what are the characteristics of equilibrium in physical processes? So measurable properties of system becomes constant at equilibrium. ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. Okay, at equilibrium. Equilibrium can be established in any closed system. A very important point. They ask questions from this part like which of the following statement is false? So if the statement would be equilibrium can be established in the case of any system, it's wrong. It is only in the case of closed system. ಯಾಕೆ closed system ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, to attain equilibrium it must satisfy certain conditions, for which this has a very important condition. One thing you remember, it must be a closed system and it must be a reversible reaction also for equilibrium to take place or to attain. Now, equilibrium is always dynamic in nature. You know why? Because forward and reverse reaction will take place at the same rate. Now, here an example is given for physical processes when this equilibrium is attained. It is followed by a constant value of one of its parameter. And now here you see physical equilibrium means now solid to liquid, liquid to solid, or liquid to gas, gas to liquid conversion. So in these cases, see here it is water in liquid state, that is water getting converted into water vapor. It must be a reversible process. Please make a correction there. Now here it says that any one of the parameter will be constant. Here in this case pressure is constant. Remember that. So why equilibrium is important? ಯಾಕೆ equilibrium ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ we get to know from equilibrium. See, from thermodynamics we get to know the spontaneity of reaction, whether the reaction will take place or not. All these points we get to know. But equilibrium tells us to what extent the reaction takes place. So these were the points related to equilibrium involving physical processes. Now we will be discussing general characteristics of equilibrium involving chemical processes. So, again, here also it is dynamic in nature, the equilibrium is dynamic in nature, and properties of system becomes constant at equilibrium, and after that there will be no change in it. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹಾಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. Equilibrium can be established in case of closed system only, same point like the previous one. Equilibrium can be approached from either direction, means forward and backward direction. ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು direction ಇಂದ ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನ achieve ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. A catalyst does not alter the equilibrium point. Please make a note of this point as it is a very important point. Catalyst does not change the equilibrium point. In second PU concept, you have a unit called as chemical kinetics, in which it is explained ಯಾಕೆ ಆ catalyst ಅನ್ನ add ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅದು equilibrium change ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ explain ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. Catalyst ಅನ್ನ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು substance ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ it increases the rate of reaction. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿಯ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಅನ್ನ ಅದು ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆಡ್ ಅ ಕ್ಯಾಟಲಿಸ್ಟ್, ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಸ್. ನಾ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಕ್ಯಾಟಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಕಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಇಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್. ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ವರ್ಡ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾಸ್ಟನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಫಾಸ್ಟನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇಗನೆ ಆ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಅನ್ನ ಅಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ನೋ? Okay. Now let us see law of mass action. This was a first law which was proposed. So there were many laws proposed during those days. Equilibrium na study madlike many reactions and laws were given. But this was the first one, law of mass action. So according to law of mass action, it said, since we speak about rate of forward and backward reaction, so it said rate of a chemical reaction, when you have to discuss about it, rate, it is directly proportional to product of molar concentration of reactants at constant pressure. Molar concentration ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಬ್ರಾಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಇಸಿ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನಲ್ ಟು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಿಗುವ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೋಲಾರ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಬರೀ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದು ಮಾತ್ರ. Now if you consider A plus B being the reactants, then we call this as active mass of A into, not concentration I'm speaking about, active mass of A into active mass of B. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಾಸಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಲಾ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡುವ ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ ದೇ went to next term, which is molar concentration of reactants. So after which came one more law, which is called as equilibrium law or law of chemical equilibrium. Law of chemical equilibrium states that at a given temperature, ಒಂದು temperature fix ಆಗಿರುವಾಗ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು temperature ಅಲ್ಲಿ, if you consider the product of concentration of reaction products, I'll explain with an example, which however you know it, ಇದನ್ನ explain ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ A, see here A plus B giving C plus D. What does this small letter A, B, C, D represent? It represents the stoichiometric coefficient. Stoichiometric coefficient andre enu? If I write N2 plus 3H2 gives 2NH3, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 1, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 3, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 2. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು stoichiometric coefficients ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು. Okay, so using that stoichiometric coefficient, how we write the equilibrium constant value, ಅದನ್ನೇ ಈ statement ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿರೋದಷ್ಟೇ. So it says that the product of concentration of products, first ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ product ಅನ್ನ ಬರೆಯೋದು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬರೆಯೋದು. ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆರ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Are you getting? So products ಅನ್ನ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಬರೆದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬರೆಯೋದು. Therefore molar concentration of C raised to its stoichiometric coefficient, molar concentration of D raised to its stoichiometric coefficient, divided by concentration of A raised to the power A and concentration of B raised to the power B. So this point you must know very clearly which equilibrium law or law of chemical equilibrium states. This is a very important form because a few of the questions can be asked from this part also. Next, equilibrium reactions which all the reactants and products are in same phase are called homogeneous equilibrium. Now say if we have taken the reactants C plus D. You know what phase means, no? Phase means solid, liquid or gas state. State ಅನ್ನ phase ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. Now here, if all the reactants and products are in same phase, say for example, solid, all are solid, then you call it as homogeneous equilibrium. If suppose reactants and products are in different phase, you call it as heterogeneous equilibrium. So here if suppose let us consider P plus Q gives R. In this case one is solid, one is gas, other one is gas. Which type of equilibrium reaction it is? It is called as heterogeneous equilibrium reaction. Now here comes this one, you know how to write now. So this K subscript C refers to equilibrium constant with respect to concentration. See ಇಲ್ಲಿ C ಅಂತ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಟರ್ಮಿಗೆ ರಿಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರ್ದಿರೋದು ಅಂತ. P ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರೆ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಪಾರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ it is given. So here for a gaseous substance, how do you write with respect to partial pressure? It is partial pressure of C into partial pressure of D raised to their stoichiometric coefficient divided by, again here product comes first and then the reactant comes. There in the previous one you had written it as concentration of C, no? Here rather than mentioning concentration, we write it as partial pressure of C raised to the power C into partial pressure of D raised to the power D whole divided by partial pressure of A to the power A, partial pressure of B to the power B, like this. Next is relationship between Kp and Kc. So Kp is equal to Kc into RT to the power delta n. Kp andre ಏನು? Equilibrium constant with respect to partial pressure. What is Kc? Equilibrium constant with respect to concentration. R is universal gas constant. T is temperature. Delta n means change in number of moles. This one you know. Delta n value is number of moles of gaseous products minus number of moles of gaseous reactants. Okay, so again here product comes first and then the reactant. So when you calculate, you must see whether they are in the gaseous state. Only if it is in gaseous state you consider it. Now for example, C plus O2 gives CO2. For example, just consider SGG. What is delta n value in this equation? What do you think is the delta n value here? ಏನಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು? So you have to see whether it is all gases or not. Then See, here you have gas. One ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So looking at this, you get to know it is a gas. So how many moles? 1. 1 minus how many gases here? See, this is solid, therefore it is not considered. Only this is considered. Again 1. 1 minus 1, 0. Therefore number of moles is 0 there. All right. So heterogeneous equilibrium, pure solids or liquids are present, but their concentrations or partial pressures do not appear in the expression of equilibrium constant. In heterogeneous, it is mentioned. Then here are few points related to characteristics of equilibrium constant, which I want you to go through. I'll upload this in the study material. So please go through these points, because I want to explain few more points, few tricks related to hydrolysis of salt, which I'll do there. So this one you can just have a look at. Then applications of equilibrium constant. Am I audible? You can hear me, no? Are you not able to hear me? Ashita? Is it Isma? Can you hear me?
I can hear.
Okay. Is that reaction is about to get completed. You understand? So Kc is greater than 1000 means it says product is more than reactant. Therefore, it means the reaction is nearly or to complete. Whereas if Kc value is less than 10 to the power minus 3, it says that The reaction proceeds very rarely. So for very rare reactions, you see the Kc value being very, very less. And if Kc value is in the range of 10 to the power minus 3 to 10 to the power 3, in between that range, then which means that both reactants and products are present, just present. You can expect questions from this part, reaction quotient part, where reaction quotient is nothing but ನೀವೇನ್ ಕಲ್ತಿರ್ತೀರಾ equilibrium constant ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅದೇ ತರಹ here you have reaction quotient, which is given as the product of concentration, or if it is in terms of gases, we also consider partial pressures to that of reactants at any stage of the reaction. So here QC ಮತ್ತು KC value ಅನ್ನು compare ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡೋದು. Now what is the difference? It is just like the KC, but what is the difference is ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು equilibrium constant ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Equilibrium constant. Whereas this particular Q reaction quotient, it can be taken at any point of the reaction. At any point of the reaction. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಅಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗನೇ ತೆಗಿಬೇಕಂತ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಬದಲಿಗೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೂ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. Okay, that's fine. So QC is at any point of the reaction, need not be only at equilibrium condition. So if QC value is greater than KC, ಇವಾಗ ಅದೇ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಗೆ QC ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅನ್ನ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು KC ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಜೊತೆ. If QC value is greater than KC, which means that the reaction will take place in a reverse direction. The reaction will take place in reverse direction. Whereas if QC value is less than KC, it means that the reaction will take place in forward reaction. Whereas if reaction quotient value is exactly like the equilibrium constant value, it means that reaction has already attained equilibrium. So these points you need to understand. Then calculating equilibrium concentrations, this you can again go through. Coming to Le-Chatelier's principle, which is one of the most important topic in this unit again. Le-Chatelier's principle says, ಈಗ ಒಂದು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಗೆ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಯು ಆರ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ ದ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್, ನಾವು ಆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಈಗ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಅಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿರುವಾಗ ನೀವು ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, that system will feel like this person has changed some condition, so it will try to reduce that effect. ನೀವೇನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರೋ ಅದರ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. That is called as Le-Chatelier's principle. One is called as effect of concentration. Next is effect of pressure. You have effect of catalyst, effect of inert gas addition, and temperature. We'll see one by one. So effect of concentration changes. If suppose the concentration increases, then what happens? Now, if the concentration increases, for this, let me consider again a very important example of nitrogen and hydrogen combining to form ammonia. Nitrogen is a gas, hydrogen is gas, ammonia also will be in the gaseous state, which will be later liquefied. So here what actually happens is, when concentration increases, that too concentration of reactants, ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಏನ್ ನಾನು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, they get confused with which is the reactant and which is the product, because this is a reversible reaction. So reactants form products, products form reactants, we say. ಯಾವುದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೋ, now this is reactant and this is product. If suppose the same reaction is given like this, 2NH3, ಇದೇ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಿಮಗೆ 2NH3 giving N2 plus 3H2 ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ, then you can take this as reactant and this as product. Got it? Okay. So increase in concentration. If you increase the concentration of reactants, then what happens? More and more product starts forming. So equilibrium ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ಓ ಈ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಈಗ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಂಡು ಅದು ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಒಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. If you try to increase the concentration of reactants, it will try to increase the concentration of products. So which direction the reaction proceeds? Forward reaction. Whereas if you try to increase the concentration of products, ನೀವೀಗ extra ammonia ನ ಪುನಃ add ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ what happens? ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಓ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಯ್ತು, ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. therefore backward reaction favors. So these are the points you need to remember. Coming to effect of increase the pressure. So remember, with increase in pressure, where there is less number of moles, there the reaction proceeds. Now here, how do you calculate the number of moles? You know, here calculating number of mole, here 1 mole, here 3 moles, total 4 moles on left side. On right side it is 2 moles. Therefore, where the reaction will proceed in the direction where there is less number of moles. So if you try increasing the pressure, the reaction will proceed in the direction where there is less number of moles, that is to the right hand side. Whereas if you try decreasing the pressure, then what happens? The number of moles, where there is more number of moles, that side the reaction shifts. Effect of inert gas addition. So a very important point. Inert gas. Inert gas means noble gas. It can be helium, neon, argon, krypton, all those. So what happens if you add inert gas to it? If inert gas is added at constant volume ಅನ್ನ change ಮಾಡದೆ, delta V is 0. ಈ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು inert gas ಅನ್ನ add ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? There is no effect on equilibrium. Equilibrium is not affected if you are adding noble gas at constant volume. Whereas what happens to temperature, effect of temperature? This is an important point again. Here, two conditions we will have to consider when it comes to temperature. The two possible reactions are, the reaction can be endothermic reaction or the reaction can be exothermic. Endothermic or exothermic. Endo means heat is absorbed, exo means heat is liberated, correct? So here what happens is, ಈಗ endothermic ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು system, it is trying to take in heat, correct? No, it is absorbing heat. So our system, it wants to absorb heat, but what are you doing? You are trying to decrease its heat. If you otherwise, if you try, what happens if you increase temperature? When you increase temperature in this case, the system will be very happy, thinking that, oh, this person is helping me out, because even I wanted to absorb energy and this person is also doing the same. So more and more forward reaction is favored. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿ forward reaction ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. But if you try to decrease the temperature when the reaction is endothermic, then what happens? Now the system will be very angry. So it will do reverse of what you have done. Therefore, reverse of the reaction takes place. Why all these happens? Because Leach-Hatfields principle clearly says that what change you have made, ಆ change ಅನ್ನ ಅದು nullify ಮಾಡೋದು. ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿರುವ change ಅನ್ನ ಅದು zero ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ try ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ನೀವು ಹೀಗೆ you see these particular changes taking place. So this is in the case of endothermic. What if the system is exothermic? ಈಗ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಈಗ ಎಕ್ಸೋಥರ್ಮಿಕ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Exothermic means heat is liberated, heat is given out of the system. Therefore, now if you try to increase temperature, that means you are supplying heat, you try to increase the temperature, then which direction the reaction proceeds? Now the system will be angry because it was trying to give out heat. But what are you doing? You are supplying heat. Therefore, reverse reaction takes place. Backward reaction favors. Whereas if you try to decrease the temperature, now the system will be happy. However, I was trying to decrease my heat by giving out, and this person is doing the same. Therefore, forward reaction keeps favoring. Forward reaction is favored. ಸೊ ಯಾಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಾದಾಗ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ನೋ ಹೌ ದ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಯಾವ ತರದ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್ ವಾಟ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ಟು ನೋ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ನಾನೀಗ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ with respect to the ammonia synthesis. So you know ammonia is one of the very important compound prepared in our country. You may not believe ammonia dindane urea kuda prepare madodu. Urea ನೀವು ಕೇಳಿರಬಹುದು, the fertilizer what is used. Million tons of urea is synthesized in our country. Million tons. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಂದಾಜು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಿಂಥಸೈಸ್ಡ್. ಅದರ ಮೇನ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗೋದು ಅದು ಅಮೋನಿಯಾ. ಸೊ ಅಮೋನಿಯಾ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನನ್ನ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಇಸ್ ಓಕೆ, ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಲಾಭ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ what million tons of ammonium compound is prepared, with that it helps for the economy of our country. Okay, so imagine if you are a owner of the factory, then that again you can get lots of benefits out of it. So ಯಾಕೆ ಆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾನೀಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, see in this particular reaction, if suppose you don't add a catalyst, what happens? This is a very slow process. So if you know the role of catalyst, we use catalyst here called as iron, or iron oxide is used. So the rate of reaction increases. So which one do you think here the factors that are helpful for the synthesis of ammonia? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತೀಗ ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 2 moles ಇರೋದು. ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ನಾನು ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಯಾವ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೈಟ್ರೋಜನ್ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಮೋನಿಯಾ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಐ ನೋ. ದೆನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ಅಂತ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಎಂಡೋಥರ್ಮಿಕ್, ಮೈನಸ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸೋಥರ್ಮಿಕ್. So based on this, you will have to check out the reactions that is taking place. Next, coming to effect of catalyst. Effect of catalyst means catalyst is a substance which does not shift the equilibrium, ನೀವು ಕ್ಯಾಟಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ of course the rate of reaction increases, but it does not shift the equilibrium. ಆ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಅದು ಆಚೀಚೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಟು ಅಟೈನ್ ದಟ್ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಫಾಸ್ಟರ್. ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಅಟೈನ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ as effect of catalyst. Any doubts with this? You can ask me if you have any doubts. Okay, so I'll proceed. Now coming to electrolytes. What are electrolytes? Electrolytes are the substances which can conduct electricity in their molten state and in their aqueous solutions also. Molten state means melt ಆದ state ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Aqueous solution means in their solutions, water ಅಲ್ಲಿ dissolve ಮಾಡಿ solution prepare ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, that is called as aqueous solution. So if the substance can conduct electricity in that state, you call it as electrolytes. For example, see NaCl. It cannot conduct electricity in solid state, but in molten state and aqueous solution, it conducts electricity. It is electrolyte. See, electrolyte anta helidaga, it will be able to dissociate Na plus Cl minus. ನಿಮಗೆ ions ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. It dissociates to form ions. One will be positively charged ion and the other one will be negatively charged ions. Positively charged ions are called as cations. Negatively charged ions are called as anions. So this is a point which you have to understand. So whether NaCl is the only example? No. HNO3 is an example. Why HNO3 is an example? It dissociates as H plus NO3 minus. H2SO4 is an example of electrolyte. Why? Because it dissociates as H plus HSO4 minus. Further, this HSO4 minus can dissociate as H plus SO4 2 minus, like that. You understand, no? Now, ionic equilibrium means equilibrium attained between unionized molecules and ions in solution of weak electrolyte. So whenever we study ionic equilibrium, we mainly consider weak electrolytes here. Weak electrolytes means which does not completely dissociate. For example, CH3COOH. This is called as weak acid. Do you know why it is a weak acid? Because it can dissociate as CH3COO minus plus H plus. ಅದು ಸಹ ಪಾರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅದನ್ನ ವೀಕ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರೋಲೈಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು. Which ionize to a small extent. Small extent means ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅದು ಡಿಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅಯೋನೈಸ್ ಆದ್ರೆ, ಅಯೋನೈಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ions. So remaining will be as it is. Then you call it as weak electrolyte. Acids, bases, salts, which are electrolytes, they can conduct electricity. Do you know why they can conduct electricity? Because they produce cations and anions. Cations means positively charged, anions means negatively charged. Now here comes the theory of acids and bases. Ionic equilibrium ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ acids, bases, salts ಬಗ್ಗೆ concepts ಬರುವಂತದ್ದು. In which the first one is called as Arrhenius theory. In Arrhenius theory, if you consider, Acids are the substances. Acids are the substances which can donate a H plus ion. Donates H plus ion. Whereas bases are the substances which donates OH minus ion in Arrhenius theory. So OH minus ion ಅನ್ನ ಅದು produce ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ water ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, when does this happen? When you dissolve it in water along with H2O. ಅದು react ಆದಾಗ, if it produces H plus, you call it as Arrhenius acid. If it can donate OH minus ion, you call it as Arrhenius base. Any doubts here? Okay. So what is the limitation? ಈ Arrhenius theory ಬಂದಾದ ಮೇಲೆ acids ಬಗ್ಗೆ they had a concept, a quite good concept. But there were some limitations. Next came Lowry and Bronsted. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಾವು ಅರೇನಿಯಸ್ ಥಿಯರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಸಿಡಿಟಿ ಬೇಸಿಸಿಟಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ that is studied under Bronsted-Lowry theory. So according to Bronsted and Lowry, it says, see, NH3. NH3 is a base. Okay. But according to Arrhenius theory ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು? ಅರೇನಿಯಸ್ ಥಿಯರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಬೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಅದು OH ಮೈನಸ್ ಅಯಾನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡೊನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅದು ಆಸಿಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿತ್ತು ಅರೇನಿಯಸ್ ಥಿಯರಿ. ಬಟ್ NH3 ಇಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಅ ಬೇಸ್, ಅದು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಅನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅರೇನಿಯಸ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗದೇ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ the next theory is considered, which is called as Bronsted-Lowry theory. According to Bronsted-Lowry theory, acid is a substance which can donate H plus, same topic. H plus donate ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ it is acid. But base is a substance which can accept H plus ion. H plus ion ಅನ್ನ absorb ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುದಾದ್ರೆ it is called as base. See ammonia. Ammonia can take up H plus and it gets converted to NH4 plus. Therefore, it is called as Lowry-Bronsted base. You understand? I hope it's clear. H2O is also a Lowry-Bronsted acid. Do you know why? Because it can also take up H plus ion and it gets converted to H3O plus ion. H3O plus ion is called as hydronium. Hydronium ion. Water ಗೆ ಒಂದು H plus add ಮಾಡಿದಷ್ಟೇ. Therefore, it is also called as hydrated proton ion. Hydrated means addition of water to proton. Here comes the concept of conjugate acid base. Do you know what is conjugate acid base? Do you really know? Okay. So conjugate acid, if they ask you to write conjugate acid, add H plus to that molecule. Okay, what you have to add? You have to add H plus ion. If suppose you are asked to write a conjugate base, write conjugate base, then remove a H plus ion. Remove H plus ion. Here what you need to remember is, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು H plus ಅನ್ನ add ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ H plus ಅನ್ನ minus subtract ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, when you add or subtract, you must add the positive charge also there. Now, for example, I say write the conjugate acid of Cl minus. Do you write? You have to add a H plus to it, correct? No? You're adding a H plus to it. So this becomes HCl. Now, why didn't I write the charge, Imagine it has all positive and negative charges, it is neutral. But Cl has one extra electron. ನಾನು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರೀತೇನೆ extra electron. ಈಗ ನೀವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನನ್ನ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? H ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಇದ್ದಂತಹ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಈಗ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ನೋ? That is why we are not mentioning the charge there near HCl. Now, if I ask you, write the conjugated acid of HSO4 minus. How do you write? Again, you have to add H plus. Therefore, this becomes H2SO4. Here you see the negative charge. You have added one positive charge which balanced one negative charge. Therefore, we need not mention the negative charge here. If I ask you to write the conjugate base of, you are asked to write conjugate base of H2O. How do you write? Remove a H plus ion. Minus H plus. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವ ಒಂದು H plus ಅನ್ನ ತೆಗೀರಿ ಅಂತ. ಒಂದು H ಅನ್ನ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಬಾಕಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಒಂದು H and one O. Correct? One H you have taken out. So it is like positive charges ಇದೆ, negative charges ಇದೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ನೀವು ಯಾವುದನ್ನ ತೆಗಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? You are removing a H plus ion. If you remove a H plus ion, that means you have removed one positive charge there. If you remove one positive charge there, what happens? As you can see, one negative charge becomes extra now. So that negative charge has to be indicated here. If suppose there are two negative charges, we write as 2 minus. If there are three negative charges, 3 minus, and so on. I hope it's clear. Water is also called as amphoteric substance. Why? Why is water called as amphoteric substance? Because water can show behavior of both acid as well as base. Hence it is called as amphoteric substance. So this conjugate acid base, after that, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಥಿಯರಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲವು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಿನ acidic nature ಅನ್ನ explain ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. Like for example, boron trifluoride. You know the nature of boron trifluoride is boron is electron deficient. Already fluorine ಜೊತೆ 3 bonds form ಆದ ಮೇಲೆ it will not have any electrons left out. Therefore, what it has to do? It will take up electron. Now this concept is about electron. Lewis theory. Lewis theory is electron acceptor donor theory. So your BF3, if it accepts an electron, it is called as Lewis acid. If the substance, say for example NH3, if this donates the electron, then you call this as Lewis base. Why it is called as Lewis base? Because it donates an electron, whereas Lewis acids are those which donates a H plus ion. Okay, coming to these are examples for Lewis acids. ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ electron deficient species ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ Lewis acid ಆಗಿ behave ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. AlCl3, CO3 plus, Mg2 plus, etc. And the species like H2O, NH3, OH minus, they act as Lewis bases. Then comes the ability of water water can react with one more water molecule and form H3O plus and OH minus. This is called as self-ionization or autoprotolysis. Self-ionization means what? ಅದೇ substance ionize ಆಗೋದು. Now water itself ionizes as H plus OH minus, whereas autoprotolysis means auto means same, sorry, itself. Auto means ಅದರ ಪಾಡಿಗೆ ಅದು self protolysis. Protolysis means in the presence of proton breakage of bond. Okay, so this takes place in case of water molecule. So one water molecule H2O reacts with one more H2O where one donates a proton and becomes H3O plus and one more is OH minus. Now what is ionic product of water? Ionic product of water means, considering this equation, you know how to write equilibrium constant. No? First we write the products and then we write the reactants. H3O plus plus OH minus whole divided by reactants. However, you have only water molecule, they're both same. Therefore, H2O raised to the power 2. So K is equilibrium constant there, where you know how to write the equation for it. Bringing this H2O to the other side. So here the constant value what we get is ionic product of water is equal to H plus into OH minus concentration. That's all. Which is equal to 10 to the power minus 14. And you know, pure water, the concentration of hydronium ion is equal to concentration of H3O plus hydroxyl ion. H plus ion ಮತ್ತು OH minus ion equal ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. That is why pH water doesn't have a pH which is not suitable for drinking. pH of a solution, you know the formula for calculation of pH. Types of solution based on pH here. If we say the solution being acidic, that means pH is less than 7. You know that in the scale 7 is considered to be neutral. Greater than 7 will be called as basic substances and less than 7 will be called as acidic substances. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡಬಹುದು ನಿಮಗೆ pH formula since you know pH is equal to minus of log H plus ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ H plus ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಷ್ಟು pH ಕಡಿಮೆ ಅಂತ pH ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಷ್ಟು H plus ಕಡಿಮೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ okay they are inversely proportional see minus ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ value that is why here when you consider hydrogen ion concentration acidic means H plus ion concentration will be more than 1 into 10 to the power minus 7 because basic neutrally 1 into 10 to the power minus 7 acidic greater than 1 into 10 to the power minus 7 basic less than 1 to 10 to the power minus 7 molar. This is hydrogen ion concentration. Please do not get confused. Hydrogen ion ಯಾವುದು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆ.
Visible.
Yeah. Is it not visible? Or
Yes,
I'm not?
ma'am.
Screen is not visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, give me a second. I'll stop presenting and again I'll present you. Is it visible now?
No, ma'am.
Can't see the screen.
No, ma'am.